Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today I want to go back in time and make some content that I always used to love doing on the channel, and that's taking a look at some Dodge concept vehicles. So today's video will be the top 5 Dodge concept cars that had a 5.7 liter Hemi V8 engine under the hood. With the Hemis now discontinued in the Dodge muscle cars, it's also a nice way to pay homage to this legendary engine. For each concept, we'll cover the exterior and interior designs, performance, and the significance of the vehicle. So let's get into it. We'll start off with the 2001 Dodge Super 8 Hemi. This was a rear-wheel drive 4-door sedan with a dual-meaning name. It referred to the Super 8 motion picture camera that was manufactured in 1965 by Kodak, and also pointed out the engine under the hood, which was the new at the time Chrysler 5.7-liter engine with 8 cylinders. This was a predecessor to the modern-day Dodge Charger, Magnum, and Chrysler 300 vehicles, with a polarizing design that combined classic and modern Dodge visuals. The front had a large crosshair grille with quad headlights, a 50s-style wraparound windshield, reverse front A-pillars, no B-pillars, and an arching C-pillar that created a very strange look from the side, but also a look that truly stood out from the rest, which is what Dodge was going for. The side has teal plastic stakes running along the doors, and those green accents can be found in other places as well, both inside and out. Another cool feature is the suicide doors, providing a totally open view of the cabin without the B-pillars there. The interior also offered a lot with the passenger priority design, which meant panoramic seating for the driver and passengers. That meant the seating was much higher to give all passengers a more in-control feeling, and the rear passenger seats were higher than the front to create movie theater-like seating in the cabin. Bench seats are found anchored to the floor in the front and back, and they're able to slide around on a custom rail system. The rest of the interior had brushed and painted aluminum, air vents shaped like a jet engine, and a simple 3-spoke wooden plastic steering wheel. The tech was good for the time, with a 6.4-inch infotronic system with navigation, weather, and traffic updates, email, speech recognition, and more. The rear seat passengers got two 8.4-inch LCD touchscreens that were mounted on the backrest of the front seats. As for the performance, the Super 8 marked the return of the Hemi. So, it came with the 5.7-liter V8 Hemi, which was a work-in-progress engine at the time. This 5.7-liter made 353 horsepower and 395 pound-feet of torque, and got paired with a 4-speed automatic with auto stick that was operated using buttons instead of a traditional shifter. That 4-speed was a 45 RFE taken from a Jeep Grand Cherokee, and it had some slightly modified software to accommodate for the push-button shifter. The rear differential was also taken from a Mercedes-Benz S-Class. Dodge said the rear-wheel drive sedan would weigh 3,600 pounds and could do 0 to 60 in 5.7 seconds, the quarter mile in 14.1 seconds, and hit a top speed of 154 miles an hour. Its length was between a Charger and Challenger, with a 117.4-inch wheelbase and an overall length of 186 inches. The front suspension had modified McPherson struts and billet aluminum control arms, while the rear had 5-link coilover shocks. The wheels were large and fat, 22 by 10 inches with 255mm tires. As for the brakes, up front there were cross-drilled and slotted rotors with Wilwood 4-piston calipers, while the rear rotors are more basic with dual-piston calipers. So this Super 8 Hemi was ultimately a design exercise, and this specific car wasn't going to ever make it to production, but it did resemble the preview and the first step from Dodge for many things to come, like bringing back the rear-wheel drive chassis, the Hemi V8, and improving the infotainment systems in subsequent years. For the chassis and V8, this was basically an experiment from Dodge to see what they could build, what kind of performance they could offer, and how it would work. It was a preview of the first-gen Chrysler 300, and then later the Dodge Charger. Those sedans owe a lot of their success and foundation to the Super 8 Hemi. This also generated a lot of speculation and excitement for the Hemi's return. Next up is the 2004 Dodge Durango Dude. This was meant to be a hot rod street truck. The Skunk Works team, part of the Chrysler Group, converted a regular Durango into this unique pickup truck and took the concept to the 2004 SEMA show. They were inspired by the Viper-powered Ram SRT-10 and set out to make something similar. They used a stock 5.7-liter Hemi V8 from a regular Durango with 345 horsepower and 375 pound-feet of torque, paired with the 545 RFE 5-speed automatic transmission. It also got a catback dual exhaust, custom front and rear fascias, sill extensions, and a composite hood. The truck was lowered and then put on 20-inch Budnick billet wheels. The inside got custom leather seats. But the most striking feature of the entire truck was the PPG Tangerine Pearl paint. Unfortunately, this truck was 2 cylinders and 2.6 liters away from SRT-10 territory, and while Chrysler did toy with the idea of taking it to production, it never made it, and this is the only one to ever be produced. Next is a really awesome concept, the 2006 Dodge Nitro 5.7-liter Hemi. The Nitro was first released as a 2007 model year vehicle, and it became Dodge's first compact SUV model since the Raider was discontinued in 1990. It also became the first modern Dodge that was marketed in Europe, where the Nitro was Dodge's only SUV until 2009 with the Journey. The Nitro was only offered with a 3.7-liter or 4-liter V6 in North America, and export versions could be had with a 2.8-liter VM Motori inline 4-cylinder diesel. I always found the Nitro to be a really good-looking SUV with the familiar Dodge muscular body style, but no Hemi option was ever offered for it. The Skunkworks team at Dodge at least toyed with the idea of giving it a Hemi by making just one of these concepts for the 2006 SEMA show, starting with a fantastic blackberry pearl paint job paired with purple tinted windows. They also added a carbon fiber hood and beefier front and rear bumpers. It sits on 22-inch Alcoa forged wheels with 14-inch 4-piston Brembos beneath them, taken from a Dodge Viper. Inside it was kind of bare bones and I couldn't find any pictures of it. It did not have air conditioning or windows that rolled down, but it did have leather-wrapped Viper bucket seats. The Nitro packed a 5.7-liter Hemi under the hood with 360 horsepower and 360 pound-feet of torque, paired with a 5-speed Tremec manual transmission. As we said, the Nitro never did get that Hemi engine, or any V8 for that matter, but this showed that Dodge at least toyed with the idea of doing it. The Dodge Rampage concept was a pickup truck that was made for non-conventional pickup truck buyers, with a front-wheel drive layout and Hemi engine under the hood, the only Chrysler vehicle with that combination. This was a pure concept, not based on any existing vehicle. The whole point of the new Rampage was to change the narrative on what a pickup truck should look like. As exterior designer Scott Kruger said, quote, "The Rampage was designed as a truck for people who aren't into trucks. It's the truck for the non-traditional buyer. This is a truck for the person who wants the functional aspects of a truck, yet doesn't want a traditional vehicle. The Rampage has the capability of a pickup without sacrificing occupant space." End quote. So rather than going for a tough and rugged image that Dodge already had in their other pickups, the Rampage was built around the idea that a pickup could be a family vehicle with a focus on maximizing interior space and flexibility. Dodge added a big crosshair grille, muscular fender flares, and lots of chrome and brushed aluminum accents. The grille is part of a curving plane that also houses the LED headlights, which had a modern look with clear and frosted acrylic along with light piping. Drawing attention to the cabin, there's a U-shaped element that starts above the door sills and runs all the way above the windows, and that's also matched on the door handles. There's also a small reverse angle pillar on the rear door, and a small triangular window that gives the truck a sport coupe-like profile. The interior was totally unusual and unexpected, and shares a lot with a minivan. The front door is hinged as you'd expect, but the rear door slides open, Grand Caravan style, to reveal the interior with no B-pillar in sight. Both the center stack and instrument cluster can move across the dashboard towards either the driver or passenger, and can be rotated either way. It was designed to look like it was floating above the surface. The cabin has a bright orange and charcoal color theme, and also features dual panoramic skylights, which run along the length of the cabin to bring daylight to all passengers. The Rampage also had stow-and-go seating for the first time in a pickup truck. The bed is only 5 feet long, but there is a retractable rear window and a midgate which can fold down that allows for the cabin and the bed to become one elongated area. Looking at the performance, the Rampage was powered by the 5.7-liter Hemi V8 engine taken from the Ram 1500. That engine had an output of 345 horsepower and 375 pound-feet of torque, paired with a 5-speed automatic transmission. Again, this was a front-wheel drive vehicle, whereas all other Hemi applications were rear-wheel drive, and this was done to preserve all the interior innovation. As for the wheels and tires, the rims were big, 22 by 9 inches all the way around. Same goes for the tires, massive P30550 R22 Goodyears that were 34 inches tall. The front suspension was a multi-link, while the rear was independent. And one other cool note, the exhaust exits through vents in the front of the rear wheels, so as to keep heat and fumes away from the dual cargo beds. So this Rampage was essentially an innovative design experiment, a different take on a potential addition to the Dodge truck lineup, between the midsize Dakota and the full-size Rams. Unfortunately, this vehicle didn't really make sense. The Honda Ridgeline was a competitor, and that peaked around 50,000 units in 2006, and it could never sustain that success. Dodge already had big sellers in the truck industry as well, as 2006 saw the Ram pickup sell 364,000 units, with another 76,000 from the Dakota. so the Rampage would have been a really fun and unique truck, but one that wasn't really necessary. The final concept today is the 2015 Dodge Challenger GT all-wheel drive, the world's only Challenger to feature both a Hemi V8 and all-wheel drive powertrain. The Challenger GT all-wheel drive came about as Dodge was trying to experiment with the all-wheel drive on a Challenger. One aspect always holding back the LX vehicles was the rear-wheel drive, making it difficult to launch the car, as you'd get a lot of wheel spin with the Hemi V8s, and this is an issue that continues even with today's Hellcats and Demons. Many love the all-wheel drive aspect of the Chargers, Magnums, and 300s, claiming better performance with no wheel spin and the ability to blast through several inches of snow. Of course, the all-wheel drive isn't new, as the Magnum had an SXT and RT all-wheel drive, so did the Charger, and the Chrysler 300 also had a V6 and V8 all-wheel drive as well. This Challenger concept, however, caught the attention of Mopar enthusiasts because at the time in 2015, the Challenger had never had an all-wheel drive system for any V6 or V8 model, and there hadn't been a 5.7-liter all-wheel drive since the 2014 Chrysler 300 and Dodge Charger RT, as they hadn't been brought back for the facelifts that both cars received in 2015. So this Challenger GT concept was a beautiful vehicle with a tri-tone look. It was finished in Destroyer Gray with lots of header orange highlights on the mirror caps, grille, and taillight surrounding areas, along with an offset stripe running along the length of the vehicle. The hood and roof are matte black. Destroyer Gray was so popular on this concept that Dodge would push the color to production the next year in 2016. It was also probably the first time we saw the Mopar wide-body kit, 3 years before it would be released for the Hellcat with the wider wheel flares. The wheels do poke out really nicely, 20 by 10 inches up front and 20 by 11 inches in the rear, with Mopar center caps. The car also gets a satin black chin splitter, rear spoiler, and Mopar exhaust tips, fuel filler door, and deck lid badge. Inside, the header orange continues on the center console, shifter, and side panels. The seats are finished in catskin leather. It looks to be beige from the photos with suede inserts. Mopar also added a nice flat bottom steering wheel, Challenger door sills, and a special trunk mat. As with all the other concepts on this list, this car has the 5.7-liter Hemi with that all-wheel drive system and paired with a ZF 8-speed automatic. Mopar was pushing the Scat Pack performance kits during this time. There was 3 stages, so this had the Stage 3 kit, which added Mopar CNC ported cylinder heads, Mopar high-flow exhaust manifolds, and high-flow catalytic converter, a gasket set, exhaust manifolds, exhaust adapter, mounting bracket, hardware, and 2 Scat Pack 3 badges. Stock automatic Challengers at this time made 372 horsepower and 400 pound-feet of torque. Then the Scat Pack 3 improvements added 75 horsepower and 44 pound-feet of torque, boosting the numbers to 447 horsepower and 444 pound-feet of torque, all with the factory warranty still intact. Estimates gave this car 0 to 60 of 4.6 seconds, getting pretty close to the 6.4-liter Hemi territory. This car also had a Mopar suspension kit with lowering springs and front and rear strut tower braces. Unfortunately, Dodge would never make this concept into a production vehicle. They finally would bring the all-wheel drive to the Challenger GT for 2017, and later SXT Challenger models as well, but that was for the 3.6-liter V6 models only. So the LX LB Challengers never did get all-wheel drive with a Hemi V8. There were several reasons why Dodge didn't continue with the Hemi all-wheel drive Challenger, but the main reason was that the previous Dodge Charger RT and Chrysler 300C all-wheel drive had very poor sales, and there were some reports that FCA representatives told people off the record that the V8 all-wheel drive numbers, quote, were so low that the company lost money on development of the package, end quote. So there's a very, very small market for these vehicles, but it's so small that Dodge didn't want to continue catering to them without any benefits, and felt that they didn't need to offer customers a Hemi all-wheel drive Challenger model. The Challenger GT all-wheel drive proved that Chrysler could make an awesome all-wheel drive Hemi vehicle, and a production version could have revolutionized the segment, especially if Dodge had spent the time and resources to develop a new all-wheel drive system that could handle big power, like the Scat Packs or Hellcats. There would have been many obstacles to overcome, and the company probably would have taken a financial hit, but if they did get it right, just think about what a Challenger Hellcat Red-Eye with all-wheel drive would do to lots of supercars out there. So that's it for this video. Hopefully you enjoyed checking out these 5 cool concepts from Dodge with the 5.7-liter Hemi. Some paved the way for things to come, like the Super 8, while others were just a fun idea, like the Nitro Hemi or Durango Dude. Let me know which was your favorite down in the comment section below. Make sure to like and subscribe for all your Mopar content, and I'll see you in the next video.